Hey, let's look at activity 1 for week 7. It's prepare a personal design review. This means you're doing the design review of your own work. It's the easiest way to start, and it's actually something that should be done constantly by yourself during the design process all the way through, but especially here near the beginning. So let's take a look and see what that might look like. You can see here I've got my design review checklist, and I've done some filling it out, and I'll talk about it. And here I have my model. Now this model includes interior design and exterior architecture and civil and landscaping, because I'm going to do a bunch of different demos off of this one file. Yours will be just the portion that you're doing. So you're going to turn in your design focus right here. Okay, so that's the first thing to do, is say what your design focus is going to be. Put your name up under designer. And reviewer. This is your own review of your own work. And right now let's say I'm going to do interior design. Just to have something on here. On my checklist, it's not super critical at this point because we're at a very beginning portion of it. Okay, and then the other thing I want to do is make sure I can get to my files. Somebody who's doing this won't really know what's going on unless they can touch your files. So here's a folder I made for my files. I would take this and drop it in, and any other information, and I would share it as anyone with the link can view. Copy the link, and I'm going to link it right up here at the top. So this is critical that you make it so that even though this is a design review by you, for you, of you, this is part of the pattern that will be shown to show how you got from the beginning to the end of the design. So you want to be able to get to those files that you used. You'll also see that the client description is in a link here. All right, so our next thing is to actually do the design review, and there's 4 things that we're going to review. And remember, this isn't I like, I don't like, it's good, it's bad. These are things that, does the design meet the requirement? So it's sort of a yes, no, and what is the requirement? Okay, so the first requirement is add a commercial business. And so in this case, I have chosen a recording studio as a short-term rental with primary residence attached. Let's see how that works. I actually found one that I'm going, okay, they could do it. They were able to do it. I can do it. And there's, if you look at, there's the studio, there's the house, there's, different clients, they can book it. And so that's my add a commercial business. I found a similar one and said that's what I'm going to do. So you should do the same thing. And then take some sort of a picture of it, because how does the client know what that means? So I went to the gallery of the studio and I said, that's a commercial studio. That's what one looks like. That's what it means. Kind of cool. There we go. That's what's going to go into the bottom. Actually, sorry, the top as I renovate that building. Okay, whatever yours is, it is, but you need to be able to find a picture online of something sort of similar to it to show that this is a real commercial business. Okay, and then the second thing was it needed to create a cash flow in 8 years. Okay, and so what I suggest is you base it on about $300 to $400 per square foot of construction cost. It's about what it takes for residential or light commercial in the Sacramento area. So I got my handy dandy little calculator out and started saying, okay, well, how much could I make a year? Well, I also found that I could rent this for like $2,500 for a week. So I sort of said, okay, $4,000 a month. I can get 2 weeks out of each month, probably done times 8 years. That's $48,000 a year times 8 years. That's $384,000 I'm going to make. Whew, that doesn't sound like a lot, especially with the price of constructing stuff. So I'm going to be working on about 2,000 square feet. I used my highest number. But I remembered that I could get about $750,000 of grant funding. So it's $1 million minus 750. That's $250,000. That means I've got a positive cash flow after 8 years. Okay? It's going to cost me less to build than it is to make money. And I have a little cushion there too. So I'm feeling okay. I think this is okay for me. And yours can be as, I don't have total proof. I just looked up what one of these things is and sort of estimated it. And then I just used the numbers from my design to see how that was going to look. And that's all well and good, but remember it said it needs to be a work-live business. So the owners are still going to live there, and they're going to rent out this recording studio with, say, a tiny house for the person to live in, maybe even 2 tiny houses for the person to live in while they're doing their recording for a week or 2 weeks. And that has to be okay by SACOG. Yes, it is. Their work-live, that was the requirement. It's got to be allowed under Sacramento County zoning. So I found, if I make this big, let me move it to where I can see it, that RD5 short-term rentals are allowed. Whew. This happens to be a very specific type of short-term rental. It's a short-term rental to people who want to do recordings, but it is a short-term rental. And because the owner is going to keep the primary residence downstairs and provide a secondary little tiny house for the person to live in while they're doing the recording, that's allowed. So I meet that one. And footprint is increased. I'm going to add about 750 with some additional tiny house parking. And so I'm showing pictures of all those things. So that's how you do a design review. You should have something written down that says that your design meets the requirements. And you should have some sort of image that backs it up. And you can see these images aren't all of my work. Now, I might want to make this one smaller. I know I can get in there. And I take these as they're big. They're shrunk down now, but there's plenty of dots per inch here. And maybe I want to come into here and hide that wall or make it, let's see if I have, I don't have any. This is my older one where I don't have anything in there. I've got another one that I can go to that shows a little bit of interior design. Okay, but I could show this as being the recording studio in there when I get to that point. So I'm a little bit weak here, right? I don't really have enough yet. I'm a little bit weak. I can show that this is a building, but I can't show that I've made that interior design yet correct. Okay, guess where that's going to come up? That's going to come up in the next video where we discuss a design improvement plan. What can I do to make this this concept proposal better? Okay, so the thing I'll look at these and see where I need to make these a little bit stronger to really make sure that I'm meeting all of the design requirements. Okay. If I had picked something like the parking or the civil, I would have made my images focus on appropriate parking for people that are going to come and do recording. Okay, and live in a little tiny house. Okay, and my cash flow might have included the money to do that work also. So there's all sorts of, everybody's is going to be a little bit different. Okay, and you'll look at in particular the costs associated with your part, and you're still going to have to say what the thing is going to be, okay, and what you're going to do, okay, to increase your footprint and things like that. But your sort of images and your improvement plan, which is going to come along, will focus on different aspects.